Anyway, there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, Larry Brock, he's talking about the ArriveCan scam app. And we've got to talk about all of this criminality and all of these payments that are going through ghost contractors who manage businesses but don't actually add any value, but we're paying them millions of dollars, and we're paying them inflated contract fees as well for the headhunting they're doing. And I think that the headhunting that they're doing, ensures they get paid on both ends. They get paid on the front end and the back end. Here's Larry Brock taking the Deputy Auditor General to task, asking questions, and the questions are good. 6 minutes in, this is a 7 minute long, almost 8 minute long video. 6 minutes in, there's a point of order from a Liberal member on the panel here, and they try and break in, and the chair says, no, I may show it to you because it's so funny. He says, no, I find his questioning great. Larry Brock, the floor is yours again. Brock carries on. Anyway, I'll show you the first 30 seconds here.
At the heart of this Liberal scandal is the payment under Minister Philip Champagne's department, is the payment of at least $40 million to companies that did not meet the funding criteria. And I say at least 40 million because some of the media reports seem to indicate that that's probably the bare minimum. We're talking about other tens of millions of dollars that went to new funding streams, new companies being created under funding agreements that did not accord with the original funding agreement with the federal government. So in my view, that raises criminality. And I know that the original report from RCGT put restrictions that this is in no way an admission of any liability, civil or criminal. I know that no police agency has taken this on their own. So I'm going to turn to you, sir, because I know that part of your department, there is a mandate to turn matters over to the police where you discover criminality. So I'd like to ask you specifically as to what that threshold is. What is that legal threshold or admission?
And he goes through and he finds out the threshold, and the threshold is very low. And because the threshold is very low, he says, you guys should be referring this and looking at this, and have you referred this to the OPP in addition to the RCMP? And the answer is, yes, we're looking at this, and we haven't thought about it that way, and we're not sure if we're going to refer to our OPP. Here's the point of order. I thought it was really funny, so I'm going to show it. Here we go.
Cooperate with the RCMP.
1 second, Mr. Brock. I have a point of order, please. Ms. Khalid, yes.
I would like to question the relevance of what Mr. Brock is asking.
I actually don't think that's a point of order. Mr. Brock has the floor.
Relevance is definitely a point of order, Mr. Chair.
I find his questioning to be quite illuminating and in line with this committee's review of this question. And Mr. Hayes has proven himself to be a very able witness, and I'm sure he will provide any information that he feels relevant in this. And if he does not, he will say so as well. So Mr. Brock, the floor is yours again.
Given how some can
smackdown, right? So point of order. Oh, I think relevance is really something that we need to talk about. Yeah, well, it's relevant. Be quiet, lady. It's quite funny. This is another interesting one. This is for ArriveCan as well. And he says, misled and manipulated ArriveCan IT middleman lied, misled and manipulated facts to secure over $11 million in the ArriveCan app that is now being investigated by the RCMP. He has taken taxpayers for nearly $60 million since 2017. This is 8 years of Trudeau. So wild. Do you think somebody's going to go to jail over this? I don't know. I think if Larry Brock has his way, absolutely. Here is this interaction. This is fun to watch, a little fun to watch. It's 5 minutes. I'm not going to watch it all, but it's worth it. Here we go.
Mr. Firth, there's a few things I want to remind
Oh, it's too fast. Hold on. Here we go again.
You about before I ask you some questions. With respect to parliamentary privilege, which every member enjoys in this committee, it's a contempt of Parliament, sir, to mislead this committee by giving a false statement or false evidence, to refuse, unless related to cabinet confidence, to answer any questions, or to fail to produce documents that this committee might require someone to produce. So although you are not sworn on a holy book, this parliamentary privilege binds your conscience and binds your responses to always provide us with the truth. Do you understand that, sir? Mr. Firth, do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
And Mr. Firth, in light of all of the criminal allegations that have been levied against you and Dalian and Corodex over the last several weeks, specifically the following offenses have been in the spotlight: the offense of theft over $5,000, forgery, fraud over $5,000, impersonation, all of which, if prosecuted by indictment by a prosecutor in this country, could result upon conviction of someone serving a sentence greater than 2 years. You aware of that, sir?
Yes, I am.
And under this cloud of serious and significant criminal suspicion, have you retained legal counsel?
Yes, I have.
And has legal counsel, without me asking what legal counsel has informed you, has legal counsel impressed upon you the importance of telling the truth?
Yes, they have.
Has legal counsel instructed you not to answer certain questions?
No, they have not.
Thank you. One area that you have been presented with, sir, that gives me great discomfort as a parliamentarian is the issue regarding resumes. And quite frankly, sir, whether you call it a mistake, whether you call it a lack of intent, whether you refer to it as an embellishment, in my respectful submission, sir, that is a lie. And no one believes you. No one believes you in this room. We have national reporters in this room, and I doubt very much that they believe you, because your story is so fantastic. It's simply worthy of unbelief. You, sir, at all material times only received one version of the CV from both Ritika Dutt and Mr. Amir Moravej. One CV, one resume that was not ambiguous, that was not confusing, and you took it upon yourself to manipulate both of those resumes to ensure that Bottler qualified for government funding. You did that without the express permission or consent of both Bottler's executives, and in so doing, sir, you have committed a serious criminal offense. Do you have anything to say about that, or are you going to continue on this line that I made a mistake?
Yeah. I'm going to tell the truth, and it was a genuine mistake because there are multiple versions of the resume. They may have given me one, but as a recruiter, you make different versions of resumes, and the wrong one was sent through.
Sir, who made multiple versions? You or somebody else?
I did. I started my career as a recruiter, so I'm
on earth, sir. Why on earth would compel you to?
Okay, so we listened to a lot more of it than I anticipated, but it's still very, very interesting. And this is this just a regular run-of-the-mill recruiter doing what recruiters do, or is this somebody who's in charge of government contracts who is lying through a resume to make some people look like they qualify when they in fact do not, right? One is innocent recruiter, maybe you embellish a little bit on the resume to get the job and everybody is happy, and the other is a very serious criminal offense that makes Larry Brock very angry indeed, right? So, interesting stuff in this ArriveCan scam thing. Is this going to bring down this government? I hope so, but it seems like a strategy of death by 1,000 cuts. There's going to be so many scandals that they just won't be able to survive. They'll just bleed out. Here's proverbially, figuratively. Michael Cooper says, independent fact-finding report draws scathing conclusion on the Liberals' green slush fund. Different scandal. Tens of millions of dollars misspent, conflict of interests and corruption everywhere. Liberals need to answer for every tax dollar that was siphoned through their green racket. Right, and here's Michael Cooper, not Michael Barrett. Michael Barrett's here. Michael Cooper, and he's talking about this. Here we go.
Would you agree?
Oh, it's too fast again. Sorry, everyone. Hold on a sec. I was catching up today. Here we go. Would you agree? We'll go back and listen to it again.
Would you agree that at the very least, the RCGT report raises serious questions about mismanagement, conflicts of interest, and potential wrongdoing at SDTC. Would you agree with that?
The reading the RCGT report, the statements in there and the unanswered questions was one of the main factors for us to decide to launch our audit.
So there you go. So there's a whole bunch of really, really concerning things happening with regards to when you peel back and look for details about things. I mean, there was Climate Barbie, and she had the infrastructure account, and she was missing receipts for a whole whack load of money, a whole lot of money. And people had hashtags, and they were saying, where's the receipts? And O'Toole couldn't do anything about it, and Scheer couldn't do anything about it. So, I mean, this strategy is markedly different than what we've seen previously, which is good to see. And I mean, it's interesting because people seem to be taking notice, but will it be enough? I don't know. I have no idea, right? We'll see. We'll see. I'll keep telling you about it. Here's Michael Chong. We've got a grab bag of governance here before we talk about Israel and Palestine. And this is a very Canadian story block as well, but it has to do with Israel and Palestine. But this is very, very grab baggy. There's lots of very different stories in today's governance section. First, we'll start with Michael Chong. He says the UK assesses the risk of terrorist attacks happening in Canada is very likely. Canada assesses a violent act of terrorism could occur, but not likely or highly likely. The government of Canada needs to explain this divergence between two Five Eyes allies ASAP. And that's Michael Chong. He's the shadow foreign minister. And Melanie Joly has no idea what to say to this. No idea at all. She's going to ask ChatGPT. It's very, very concerning when Five Eyes partners are saying one thing and Canada's saying another. And I'm inclined to not believe the Canadian version of things at this point in time because our government lies about absolutely everything. Everything they possibly can lie about. It's very, very off-putting. Here's Contrarian, and this guy says, Trudeau is done. Even the left-wing media are against him now. Here is Paul Wells and Vasikopoulos and a couple of other talking heads, and they're talking about how every week is a new liberal scandal. Nobody likes this guy. What the heck is he doing? Holy cow, he's destroying the country. And these are leftists. It's Paul Wells. He's a columnist and a well-known columnist for Maclean's. Maclean's is very left-leaning. Here we go.
And has withstood numerous controversies in the past.
Yep.
What is your sense at this point of how much this sticks long-term?
I think it regionally in Atlantic Canada and in the parts of the country that feel most harshly the sense that they've been mistreated so that Atlantic Canada can be fixed, so Alberta and Saskatchewan, I think it's going to stick. But it almost doesn't have to stick because next week there'll be some other issue that the Liberals are in trouble on, right? Like it was housing, it was election interference, it was the Prime Minister's astonishing allegations about Indian complicity in a murder in British Columbia, which I think probably broke as well for him as badly. But each time they turn the page to a new controversy, and increasingly they seem unable to master any of them. And so, Lord knows what the trouble will be next week, but this Prime Minister's on a bit of a streak.
This one also lasted a while, to Paul's point. This dominated every question nearly in question period on the Hill, which I know Canadians aren't watching very closely, but certainly
people are watching. No, Canadians don't watch Parliament Hill very closely. They're right. Canadians don't care other than they want to put somebody competent in there and then ignore it. It's almost like their health. If people don't want to engage with their health because, I don't know, I guess we're conditioned against it, but people who do take their health seriously, sometimes not that they take their health too seriously, but they take the system too seriously. P90X, vegan, I only eat cabbage, and then you don't want to hear from them, right? But we're not really encouraged to really care about our health. We're encouraged to go pop a pill. We're encouraged to walk 10,000 steps, but people don't understand why you're supposed to do that or anything like that. And the 10,000 steps was just kind of a rough goal anyway. It's not a hard and fast rule. But it's interesting how much people are incentivized to just stay out of touch with the things that they really should pay attention to. Government, right? What's the inflation rate? And if you ask people, they'll say it's high, but that's just because of the blah war or something like that. They won't have an idea of what's contributed to make all of this happen, like their health. They're like, I don't know, I used to be okay and now I can't poop, or I used to be okay and now I can't do this, and then, or I can't touch my toes, or I can't bend my knee, or I can't, whatever. This hurts. And then the doctor comes up with like, oh, well, you could lose 20 pounds. And they're like, well, that's not going to happen, right? Like, so it seems like we are hardwired to, you could stop smoking. You're like, ooh, I could, but, right? So it's a very interesting situation where even when you're doing something that is counter to your own best interests, or everybody tells you it's counter to your own best interest, you could still, right? Like, should you eat that chocolate bar, Mark? Yes, I should. Right? Yes, I should eat that chocolate bar. Are you kidding me? It's Christmas, or it's about to be Christmas, right? So sure, chocolate's on the menu. January 1st, that's the diet day. But then there's a birthday. So January 12th, that'll be the diet day. I'm kidding, right? But people get on that treadmill and they never get off. They never get off. And we're, as a society, on that treadmill with our governance, and the society would really rather do that, rather keep that structure in place. Let's not pay any attention whatsoever. I'm sure it'll be fine. Sure, I might die a little early, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It's going to not be just fine to ignore for the governance. But that's what we're doing. Holly Doan, moving on a little bit. Holly Doan says, Liberal Parliamentary Secretary lobbied on behalf of party donors opposed to farm legislation, records show. MP Pam Damoff, I'm getting that wrong, would not discuss apparent breach of federal ethics laws. It's interesting, and Mr. Surveillance says, she would not discuss the apparent breach of federal ethics law. There should be something in the criminal code to deal with the would not discuss approach to governance. Trudeau Liberals have made pouting away accountability a standard practice. Yeah, and I mean, they just run the clock out of people. Well, the scandals pile up, and like, you have to ask about the latest scandal at the cost of finding out about 3 scandals ago. Right? Until the Indian government shows up and says, could you provide evidence about how you think that we committed murder in Canadian soil? And that scandal pops back up, right? In the middle of all of these other scandals. So they master no scandals. They're masters of none. Here's Agriculture Canada, and they're apologizing. Thanks, Noel, for sharing this link. Agriculture Canada apologizes for 30% reduction of fertilizer use error in report. So it's an error. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep, everybody. Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, AAFC, has issued an apology for the error in departmental results report, wherein the ministry claimed that it was working towards a 30% reduction of fertilizer use in Canada. Minister of Agriculture Lawrence Macaulay published the 2022-2023 departmental result report, which contained the discrepancy. The department published a What We Heard report compiling the feedback received, which will inform AAFC's work in collaboration with the sector towards meeting the targets of a 30% reduction of fertilizer use from 2020 levels by 2030, wrote the original report. AAFC has since said that the call for a blanket 30% reduction of fertilizer use was a mistake, and it would revise the report to accurately reflect the government's emission goals. The apology came after True North contacted the federal government to explain the statement, which conflicts with the department's stated goal of reducing fertilizer emissions by 30% by the end of the decade. The government, I don't know how it conflicts. Like, if that's the stated goal, then it aligns with that goal. Anyway, the government of Canada wants to be clear that it is not imposing a 30% reduction in fertilizer use. This is in fact an error, which will be corrected in our departmental result report. We would like to apologize for any confusion this may have caused, AAFC Media Relations Officer Samantha Siri told True North. There's no mandatory reduction in fertilizer use on Canadian farms. Canada's fertilizer emission reduction target does not represent a ban or mandatory reduction in fertilizer use. Any plan to reduce agricultural emissions will not impose restrictions on the amount of fertilizer that Canadian farmers use, nor will it limit Canada's ability to maximize food production. Although the government claims that the reduction in fertilizer emissions would not impact crop yields, internal AAFC analysis shows that it would in fact harm crop production, especially in Western Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau's claim that in the recent past that it is misinformation to say that the government wants a 30% reduction in fertilizer. Quote, I can reassure you that's not the plan. We are not mandating a 30% reduction in fertilizer use, said Trudeau at a town hall earlier this year. I know it's a bit of misinformation out there going around about farmers around fertilizer. That's not what we're doing. There's some concern about what's happening in Europe, the Netherlands particularly, but that's not what we're doing. True North asked AAFC whether it considers this report to have spread misinformation by making the same claim. The department did not address the question directly in their provided statement. According to exclusive documents obtained by True North and reported in the Fertilizer files, Fertilizer Canada representatives raised concerns about a deputy minister at AAFC who claimed during a Canadian Agri-Food Policy Institute webinar that the government wanted to reduce fertilizer use altogether. Additionally, former Agriculture Minister Marie-Claude Bibeau delivered a speech in 2021 to her European counterparts, wherein she expressed a desire for Canada to be very closely aligned with the fertilizer reduction target in the EU's farm-to-fork strategy. One of the key concerns raised by farmers' groups and stakeholders is that the federal government has poorly communicated its goals on its fertilizer emission reduction strategy and hasn't provided a clear path forward for the industry to move towards. Additionally, internal AAFC documents show that the federal government has considered a carbon tax-like regulatory backstop to enforce compliance with the emissions reduction target. We wanted to support measures that producers can take voluntarily to reduce their emissions while maintaining or growing crop yields. Nitrogen fertilizer plays an important role in Canadian agriculture, Siri told True North. Efforts to achieve emission reduction will focus on improving nitrogen management and optimizing fertilizer use, not a mandatory reduction in the use of fertilizers. The goal is to enhance farmers' yields while reducing emissions. Nope, I don't believe anything that these people say. Hello everyone, thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful